This is Here's What I Learned, a podcast that explores the lessons found in business and life. I'm your host, Jackie Hayes, a business consultant and strategist, a reader, homesteader, and superhero fan. In this show, I talk with coaches and service providers. We explore the lessons they have learned running an online business, embracing feminist business practices, rejecting hustle culture, and embracing their roles as CEOs. Welcome to another episode of Here's What I Learned. Today, I have Steph Wharton with me. Steph is a quirky Latina known as the queen of leadership and visibility, who thrives on breaking the rules and prioritizing fun in life and business. She specializes in helping folks build confidence, become the go-to leader, and expand their visibility and impact beyond social media without feeling glued to their phone. Today, I'm going to be talking with Steph about setting up your goals for a whole damn vibe. I hope you enjoy the episode. Steph, let's start this conversation with a rapid fire question. The one I have been using is, tell me something that you have been learning about or just learning lately.
Ooh, okay. I think I've been learning about myself, actually. So for context, the past over a year at this point, I want to say a year and like maybe 3-4 months, I've been realizing a lot of the small areas and kind of narrowing down on the gaps that I have in like my business, my skill set, and that kind of stuff that has been holding me back from like advancing further. And all that has been stuff that once highlighted, once it's been brought to my attention, I was like, you know what? Like, let me focus on this. And what I've been realizing is maybe this is because of my human design. So I'm not like a huge human design expert, just disclaimer, but I am a generator, emotional generator with a 6-3 profile. And for this 6 as a role model, my entire journey and how I can support a lot of my community, my clients and all that kind of stuff is all through role modeling. So through trial and error, through experiencing things and then being able to share that with people. And I've actually been learning that as a coach versus like a mentor, a lot of it doesn't necessarily have to do with leading people. It's more about helping them uncover. So I've been having a lot of freaking realizations lately, and I've been trying to be more intentional with this, with like learning and growing in that way to be able to just allow clients and people to come to their own realizations, to come up with their own plans, their own strategies and all that freaking stuff. And I feel like it's been such a cool experience to be aware of that, because usually maybe we get better at things or we learn new skills, but we don't really notice it. Whereas now I'm being so freaking aware that it's almost like scary and interesting. I'm just like, holy shit. Like I'm starting to notice like what works, what doesn't work. So it's been almost like a skill set / development. That's the area that I've really been either growing, focusing on, or learning about lately.
So full disclosure to everybody, Steph is my coach. I am part of her Whole Damn Vibe Mastermind. And one of the things that we just recently talked about was my need to reschedule a live workshop because I was starting to feel burnt out, etc. And of course, my personality is such, I'm going to let people down and, I need to be reliable and all these other things. And as you were talking about your 6, so I'm a 4-6. And you're talking about role modeling. And so I canceled or I rescheduled that workshop. And I had a bunch of people respond back with, well, thank you for role modeling. And I'm like, oh, ding, 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 ding.
That's amazing how that all worked out that way.
Yes, when you stay in alignment with who you are, it does kind of work out that way. As I said, I am part of your Whole Damn Vibe Mastermind, and there's numerous reasons why I joined, but one of those was because I didn't want to continue down my business journey and leave my life behind. And I wanted to talk to you today about what Whole Damn Vibe means to you, why you created that, and to touch on, we've had conversations about goal setting and how that relates to lifestyle and Whole Damn Vibe. And so can you start with, what is Whole Damn Vibe?
Yeah, definitely. So originally, it was something that I found myself saying whenever anything sounded cool or exciting. I'm like, wow, that is a whole damn vibe. So it just like almost like subconsciously started becoming part of my brand and like what I stand for, what I believe in. But really, what it stands for, what I believe it's all about, it's finding a way to make both your business, but specifically your life, a whole damn vibe. And really, what that looks like, it can be very unique and different for every single person. But ultimately, it's that sense and that feeling when you look around, whether again, you look around your business, your offers, the way that you market, and you're like, wow, like this feels really freaking good. I feel like I've made it. I feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. And then when you're looking at your life, you're looking around and you're like, wow, like all your goals, if you want to call them that, like the lifestyle that you really want to be living, you're doing that, even if it's in very small ways, but you have more white space in your calendar. You're doing more of the hobbies and the fun things. And essentially, I think the core of it, especially when it comes to the difference between what we're conditioned to do, whether on purpose or not, but it's just the default that becomes when you're in corporate and when you're just raised a certain way, is that instead of waiting for retirement to live your life, we're doing that now. Again, small steps, baby little examples of what it would look like, your dream life, but we're doing that now. And that to me is a whole damn vibe. It's like, holy freaking shit, I'm happy.
I'm reading Tara McMullen's book, What Works Right Now, and it's about goal setting. And she's talking about how we're conditioned to set goals in a certain way. And one of the things that came up in, I think it was chapter 3 or 4, that really stuck out to me is she said, you can shift the way you set goals in such a way that you can reclaim your agency. And as soon as I read that, I thought of you. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, so often we set our goals in a certain way to achieve a certain thing, but we do it in a way that we have been conditioned by society, our families, or whatever to do. And it's usually to be more productive.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody comes to you as a client and they want to set goals, how do you help them with that so that they're not just, so they're reclaiming their agency and so that they're capturing a whole damn vibe?
Yeah. So one of the more simple and tangible ways that I like to do that is I have a bit of like an onboarding process. You've obviously gone through it. But for people that haven't seen it, it's essentially a form and we start to uncover what the goals are. But instead of just asking what your goals are, just flat out and allowing that kind of conditioning to come through and the comparison and just these ideas around what goal setting should look like based on what people are used to seeing and experiencing. I like to ask different questions that kind of rephrase the question at hand. So it can be something along the lines of, what's your goal in business? Like, is there something you want to launch? Is there something you want to achieve? Is there a lifestyle that you want to embody, whatever? But then start to reframe by saying things such as, stop thinking or focusing necessarily on what other people are achieving, what other people are talking about. So if we're removing the comparison, we're removing what everybody else is doing. What I love for people to start with is, what do you want your life to look like? Like, best day. If you were having so much freaking fun, you felt like a total badass, like what does that day look like? And then we can actually work backwards and figure out what kind of business structure, whether it's the offers, the marketing, the behind the scenes support, whatever that could be, how can that actually support that dream lifestyle? So instead of going for the, hey, I want 6 figures, or hey, I want to launch a program, or I want this, it's like, well, no, is that actually what you want? Maybe somewhere in there that's true and that's a fact. But at the end of the day, that's more from like a, let's create impact and let's have a financially sustainable like stream of income. But other than that, the goal for a lot of entrepreneurs usually is more intrinsic. It's more about, I want freedom, I want flexibility, I want to be happy, I want to do something that I love, I want to call my own shots. So if that's the goal, then what does that look like in real life? So at the end of the day, whether it's through onboarding, whether it's through ongoing coaching, we try and coax that out. And for some people, it's more natural. And for other people, you know what? No, we might go in a certain direction, experience some resistance. And as we experience that resistance, we start to uncover perhaps the reason why. And maybe the reason is why they've thought they wanted X, Y, Z. But in fact, when you're looking inwards and trying to explore what makes you happy, it gets to look like something completely different.
I know when I was filling out the onboarding workbook, one of the things that happened is I filled it out and then I went back to it and I literally have strike throughs because I'm like, oh, nope,
Yes.
those are not really my goals or whatever it happened to be. I realized the conditioning that I saw in that and I wanted to keep it there. So instead of deleting it, I kept it there and just did the strike throughs because I was like, I want to remind myself of this. And then I remember we just did like our quarterly reviews of our goals and going back and being like, oh, like my goals literally started with I want December off. I want to take May and June off. Like those were my top goals. I want to set up my business so I could have 3 months out of the year that I'm not really working and 2 additional months that are kind of slow. So basically, I don't want to work full time for half of the year. So those were like the top goals I had for my business. And then it was like, okay, well, how do I achieve those? You know, my business now has to be set up in such a way that that's a possibility. So, and what does that look like for me?
Yeah, I'm going to say I loved and appreciated the fact that you left that information there and just crossed it out. Because even for the coach or anybody that's working with you, exposed to you, it's good to have that insight just to see how your brain works, what was the goal, perhaps, whether fully realized or not, doesn't matter. But at one point it crossed your mind. So then that helps the entire process. If that ever comes back up again, then it's like, we're aware of it. So it's like, okay, let's explore it. Maybe realistically speaking, now it is a goal. Or is there doubt setting in, or is something changing that's making us think we want that again, as opposed to the month off or whatever else that was like feeling much more empowering and exciting?
So for you, what does living a whole damn vibe look like for you personally?
Okay, so I'm in the process this month and a half maybe, because I took a 2.5 week vacation where I had my in-laws visiting and we were on vacation, and that felt like a whole damn vibe. Half of that vacation I was actually launching without showing up more than like 30 to 60, probably 60 minutes each day. But it felt sustainable. I'm like, okay, I get to wake up, share a couple things, go out, spend the day with the in-laws, go wine tasting, all that kind of stuff. Then maybe at the end of the night, share a couple more things, write an email if I didn't have something scheduled, and we're done. So that felt really freaking vibey, and that felt really amazing. But what that did at that time, let's say I would consider that to be a whole damn vibe. Even not being on vacation, but being able to have that sustainability in terms of not feeling the pressure to have to show up all the time and still be able to run the business, sign new clients, all that stuff. That felt amazing. However, I'm going to be completely honest, and I'm only barely starting to share this on my socials within like my close friends list, because I was feeling a little bit of like, well, this is terrifying. I don't know if I want to like vocalize this. I've been having this shift where a whole damn vibe, I think at this point, what it means is a mix of that sustainability, being able to help people run my business while still living my best life. But I'm starting to almost put a bigger priority on living the life, which to some extent, it's like, well, but you've been doing that. Like, is that really new? But the reason why I've been noticing this is I picked up a new hobby about 4 months ago, which is dancing. So I've been dancing a lot of bachata, salsa, taking classes. It's been so much fun. And I've been upping that from like 1 time a week, 2 times a week, sometimes even 3. And the more I do it, the more I socialize with people, make new friends, get better at that. I realize, what if this gets to me by my life? Like, what if I just dance every day? Like literally, what if I'm just like almost like retired, like dream lifestyle, like you're dancing, you're, I don't know, going to the casino. That might sound cheesy, but my in-laws are Italian and the nonnas tend to go to the casino. Like, what if that's it? You just get to be with your family, be with your loved ones, like do a lot of activities. So I'm currently in a phase where having a bigger chunk of my life be living my life, and then having a very small percentage be the business, because let's be honest, I still freaking love my business. I love what I do. I love who I work with and all that kind of stuff. But I want it to be just a side note. So that's something I'm playing around with. I'm trying to figure, okay, how can I switch up my marketing, my visibility, and everything else in order to make that possible? So we'll see. We're doing a lot of journaling around that, but that's my whole damn vibe, is to dance all day and then do a little bit of work on the side.
You mentioned something there about how you love what you do. And I think that's a struggle for me because I love what I do. And I'm one of those people that when I love what I do, like I'm all in. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, like there's nothing else going on around me. Like I've lost track of all the other things that I also love to do because I get so absorbed in something. And I know that there's nothing wrong with that and with, putting a lot of yourself into your business if that's what you really want to do. But I'm also a person who feels like you really need more than one outlet
Hmm.
for yourself. And because it's easy to get swept up and turn around and like, where's your friendships? Where's your family relationships? And you are a multi-dimensional person. So
Hmm.
how do you balance that?
A lot of trial and error. So personally, I love using the calendar. So I have my Google Calendar. I put everything. I mean, of course, my calls, but I tend to put reminders for any other tasks. So if I have to check in on clients, I want to make sure that if I get sidetracked, that doesn't get missed. So I've got client check-ins. I've got send out emails. If I want to do my weekly newsletter, I have show up on social media, like literally every little thing. I put a little block on my calendar, and it's not meant to be set in stone. Like I get to fudge things around if I don't have time or whatnot. But what I realized is, side note, I even like schedule my lunch. Like everything goes in there, right?
I have lunch on there too, because otherwise it'll be like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll be like, why am I hungry?
Yes. So basically, what I've done is I keep realizing, similar to what you're mentioning, that when you're so freaking passionate with something, you just go in like a dark hole and then you come out of the like screen time and you're like, holy freaking shit. Like the entire day has gone by or 5 hours, whatever. And I didn't do anything else. So I've played around with how I schedule things, what kind of activities those are. So something that I've been doing now for the past, it's only been 2.5 weeks, I believe, right after I got back from vacation. It's been working really well. Is not only do I have my time block for my lunch, but as I'm already unplugged at that point, like I made my food, I sat down in the living room, I'm watching Netflix. It's easier for me to continue in that as opposed to try and do fun, like non-business related stuff, let's say in the evening. So I've extended it so that I have 1 hour time slot for lunch and then a 1 hour me time. So some days I schedule something specific. If I want to, let's say, read a book, or I want to, right now I'm studying to get my driver's license. So one day a week, my me time is me reading the book, stuff like that. So that has worked really well for me. Whereas before, I used to just leave my calendar open after lunch. And I didn't do it. I was like, oh, I have free time. Let me go write up that extra email or let me create that template. So fudging around with how I do that was one of the ways that it's helping me almost like keep myself accountable to living my life and to doing the fun thing. But I will say the other thing, and it's almost more important or more effective than this scheduling, is making sure that the other activities are things that you genuinely want to do. They might seem fun, like they might seem, maybe it was a hobby you used to have, but the thing is, if you're not feeling that excitement, you're going to postpone it, or you're going to do it, you're going to do something else instead, because the business, let's say, you are so deeply passionate about. So you need to find something like dancing, for me, where I will literally drop anything in order to go dance because it's that freaking awesome. Not to say that all your hobbies have to be that awesome, but that's a great starting point because it shifts the perspective and it starts to really show you in real life proof that living your life and doing non-business things are just as exciting and just as fulfilling, and just they make you just as happy. So now you rip the band-aid off and you can start tacking more things into it because it's just part of who you are now, essentially.
You mentioning the hobbies or things that you should really love. And it's funny because I was just cleaning out a closet and I had to text a bunch of friends and say, who wants this craft stuff? Because Fantasy Jackie really wanted to make candles, but real Jackie would rather just go to Target and buy them.
Yep.
So I think a lot of times we create hobbies out of an idealized or fantasized version of ourselves. And then we wonder why we don't ever do it. And it's because it's not what, real you wants to actually do. It's what a fantasy version of you wants to do.
I actually have a drawer beside me in this desk with all the brush pens, the pencils, the papers, like the watercolors, the acrylics, and they're things that are fun and they were nice. But yeah, they were exactly what you're just describing. Like it was just like the fantasy me, or it was just this like vision that I had. I even went to the dollar store 2 days ago trying to find a new hobby, something that I could just do at home and didn't have to leave the house for. And I kept staring at all the cool things, and I was like, but I don't want to do any of these. So it's like, why are we forcing all these crafts or whatever it might be that, yeah, it's cute and you see all over TikTok and people make the coolest things ever. But if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Like maybe your hobby is literally going for a walk, or it's like just something that might seem basic, but it's actually pretty awesome in its own kind of merit.
Hmm. Yeah, very much so. One of the things that you were talking about when you were talking about using your calendar, it just reminds me that it's really about what you said at the very beginning, learning about yourself. Because you can follow everybody else's hacks and tricks and tips or whatever, but right, really it comes down to experimenting until you find the thing that actually works for you. Like for me, and this is a conversation we have had, like I have the chickens and the chores that need to be done on the homestead, and I have found I used to do them like in the middle of the afternoon, but that was disrupting work. It was getting me outside of the mindset that I wanted while I was working. And so now I have pushed back when I start my work so that I could do that first. So now instead of starting at 9, I start at 10, and I do all the chicken and homestead stuff in the morning, which is going to work out really great when it's July and it's 100 degrees outside. So it's not so great right now when it's still kind of dark and cold. But it's allowing me then to start my day at 10. I still wrap up at 3 or 4, but I'm more focused so I can produce better and do what I need to do in that shortened 1 hour shortened time frame, instead of like struggling when I get back to my desk to get back in the right mindset.
That actually made me think on like a slightly off tangent that a lot of times we define success and how we're supposed to do things from like a traditional lens, what we're used to seeing again through corporate or just even through entrepreneurship. So your schedule when you work tends to be that natural, like, well, I have to work 9 to 5. Like that's successful because then I have the entire evening off, or even working shorter hours, but still in the middle of the day. And it's like, who says? What if you do work better in the morning, at night, in the evening, after lunch? It doesn't matter. You figure out your schedule, whether it's work related, fun related, hobbies, whatever. And then when you're in that, you're going to be hyper focused because it's when you're thriving, when you're feeling creative, when you have all the ideas. And if that means that your schedule is going to look wonky, who cares? Because it's not really wonky. It's just that's what we're conditioned to think or feel. But that's your whole damn vibe business, essentially. That's how you best operate. And that's going to allow you to succeed, essentially, because you're showing up as this super confident, energized person that's having all these ideas. You're getting things done quickly, not necessarily quickly, but let's say effectively in your own way. And that's going to bring about the results, as opposed to trying to fit in this box and trying to work 9 to 5 or traditional hours and only do your hobbies in the evening or your housework in the evening when you're already tired and exhausted and you're just like, I don't want to do any of this stuff. It's like, okay, what if we do the stuff in the morning like you're doing now? And then you only have to work a couple hours because you're in the right headspace, right? As opposed to milking it and forcing it. And so yes, I love that you played around with that and that you found like your freaking groove, because it makes a really big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I have found that when I am done with work, the last thing I want to do is more quote unquote work, which, like housework or whatever it happens to be. It's like my brain is like, no, let's go read a book, watch TV, hang out with friends, but we're not doing any more work stuff. We're not being productive anymore. My time at like 5 p.m. is like, there's no more production after this. It's just not going to happen.
Some days I don't even want to cook after the day's done. I'm like, I'm done. Like, let's make some pizza, throw in something frozen. Like, we're done.
Yes. With me living alone half of the time, it's doubly, I don't want to cook. I'm like, I don't want to cook, but I also don't want to cook because I'm only cooking for myself. So yes, this is where prepared meals in the mail comes in really, really handy. So.
And those are so good sometimes when you find the right, like, distributor. Oh, they're delicious.
Exactly. And I'm guaranteed I'll actually eat the healthy meal instead of the bowl of Lucky Charms that I will normally resort to. So
it's outsourcing at its finest.
Oh, exactly. Is there anything else you want the audience to know about setting up your life and your goals for a whole damn vibe?
I think it's to get creative, think outside the box. So sometimes when we think about goal setting, it's not only what we talked about earlier, which has to do with, hey, maybe these aren't really our goals. Maybe we're being inspired or being influenced by outside influences. But it's how can we kind of simplify the goals and make them less reliant on hitting the actual goal and more about the journey itself. So if we're thinking about business, for example, instead of only focusing on goals like, let's say you do really want to launch a group program, it has nothing to do with anybody else. This is just something that you're super freaking lit up. So, okay, that's goal number one, launch the program. Maybe another goal is you want to have X people inside the program. Okay, fine. Cool. But again, this is all results oriented. So instead, how can we focus on the journey? So maybe that's making sure that it's hustle free, making sure that you take breaks throughout the day, making sure that you have fun with your marketing. So what does that look like? Do you want to use email? Do you want to use podcasting? Do you want to be silly? Do you want to not use video because that sounds dreadful to you? So think of all those things and then allow that to be essentially the measurement of success. So every single day, even though you haven't launched the program yet, maybe you're just preparing to it, even if you haven't booked the clients, you get to freaking celebrate every single day that you're taking the breaks, that you're having fun with your marketing, that you did a morning routine, that somebody reached out and said, oh, I love your graphic. And every day you're seeing proof after proof after proof that your launch is so freaking successful and that it is a whole damn vibe. I think that makes a huge freaking difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. Where can the audience find you?
Instagram, I would say Steph Wharton _. That's usually where I hang out. But with that said, I am thinking of reshaping my entire model. So whether it's Instagram or the Fiercely Visible CEO podcast, I'll be showing up in both. So yeah, definitely check it out for a whole damn vibes and all things visibility.
Thanks so much, Steph.
No, thank you for having me. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Here's What I Learned. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to follow and leave a review. Remember, there's always something new to learn. Stay curious and never stop asking questions.